It was supposed to be a normal Friday night. For teenage girls. A yogurt shop. Laughter behind the counter. Closing time just minutes away. But what happened next? What happened inside that "I can't believe it's yogurt" shop in Austin, Texas, would scar the city forever. Because when the fire was finally put out, all that remained were ash, silence, and 4 lifeless bodies, burned and bound together in the dark. December 6, 1991. Eliza Thomas, 17. Jennifer Harbison, also 17. Her little sister Sarah, 15. And their friend Amy Ayers, just 13 years old. Gagged. Tied up. Shot in the head. At least one of them sexually assaulted. And then, the whole store set on fire, like someone tried to erase the evidence, or their souls. When homicide detective John Jones arrived, the fire was still smoldering. The water from the hoses turned to steam on the scorched tiles. Soot smeared every surface. He remembers the color of the room, or rather, the lack of it. Just blacks, grays, smoke, and the bodies of 4 girls who never made it home. And despite a citywide manhunt, the killers were gone. Like ghosts. 4 years, the case dragged on, dozens of leads, suspects, and false confessions. Some claimed it was a botched robbery. Others whispered about cults. Eyewitnesses reported strange men in military jackets slouched in the back booth that night, whispering just before closing. Police even chased suspects into Mexico, where they confessed, then recanted. Nothing stuck. The crime scene was too damaged. The bullets, .22 and .380 caliber, were recovered, but the weapons were never found. 8 years later, in 1999, there was finally a break, or so it seemed. 4 men arrested: Maurice Pierce, Forrest Wellborn, Robert Springsteen, and Michael Scott. All of them had been interviewed just days after the murders and released. But now, years later, 2 of them, Springsteen and Scott, confessed. Told detectives they'd gone in for a robbery, then killed the girls. Springsteen even confessed to rape. But both would later say they were coerced. Broken down over hours of interrogation. Told what to say. And here's the thing. There was no physical evidence connecting any of them to the crime. Just words. Just pressure. Just pain. Springsteen was sentenced to death. Scott got life in prison. But in 2009, their convictions were thrown out. Violated their rights. Used each other's confessions against them, but never let them face each other in court. The justice system cracked. The charges were dropped. And just like that, 18 years after the murders, the case was back to square one. And then came the twist. New DNA testing. A small sample of male DNA found on one of the victims, likely the one who was assaulted. Scientists ran it through every database. It matched no one. Not Springsteen. Not Scott. Not Pierce. Not Wellborn. Not anyone the police had ever arrested. The confession, already shaky, now completely collapsed. Still, the families waited. The city waited. John Jones waited. And somewhere in a closet, that green and white shirt he wore the night of the murders still hangs. He made a promise. He wouldn't wear it again until the case was solved. But even after all this time, something strange lingers. Those 2 unknown men in the back booth? They were never identified. Witnesses said they were quiet, intense, dressed alike, as if they didn't want to be noticed. And just before the murders, they disappeared into the night. In 2017, a flicker of hope. A possible DNA match popped up on a public database. Investigators were sure, this is it. But when the FBI checked, it wasn't a full match. The dream crumbled. The DNA still sits in evidence. A ghost in a file. Waiting for technology, or someone, to finally point to a name. And maybe one day it will. Maybe someone will finally speak. maybe that last piece will fall into place. But for now, the yogurt shop remains a scar on Austin's soul. The chairs are gone. The fire is out. But the silence? It's still loud. You can almost hear it. The laughter that ended too soon. The screams that never made it outside. And if you drive past the spot where that store once stood, some say the air still feels heavy. Like the city itself is holding its breath. Waiting. Because the question still echoes, 3 decades later, who killed those girls, and why haven't they been caught?